Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about POR 15 and I'm going to be showing you how to apply it, prep it, everything you need to know about this wonderful product. Today we're going to be using it on these pieces of metal I have here. These go to the bed of my truck and I'm going to be PORing them, clearly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just pounding out any of these remaining bolts that I didn't get when I plasma cutted them. I do think that some of them I'm not able to get out, so I think I'll be cutting to plasma cutting here in a second. Yep, there it is. So this is probably the most effective method I've found to getting rid of some of these old rusty bolts that just won't come off. You can try and drill them out, but that's very labor intensive. Grinding works, but not as well as plasma cutting. And I mean, sometimes you don't have the budget for something like this, but I went out, spent the big bucks on a plasma cutter, and I love it. This isn't by any means a very expensive plasma cutter. I think this is an Eastwood 135 or 140 or something like that. It was still a decent amount of money, but about half the price of a Miller equivalent. So, and you got a 3-year warranty with this. So here we are. Step 1: degrease it, as the writing says. I'm using Zepp. The purple industrial greaser works really well, and a green Scotch-Brite pad. I'm just zooming through this. It's pretty self-explanatory. You want to get all the grease off. If you want, wipe it down with the Scotch pad, let it soak depending on how bad it is in that degreaser for 30 minutes to an hour. Come back, keep scrubbing it. You're gonna save on the amount of degreaser you use that way by using this pad, and you'll really get into that grime. Very important step. You need to make sure everything is perfectly degreased, or else your paint won't stick to it, and we don't want that. Okay, next is to rinse it off. I think I only needed 30 minutes for these. These weren't too terrible. I know the front end suspension was a lot greasier, so I had to let it soak for a lot longer. So the power washer I'm using is some Harbor Freight electrical one. Decent output. I mean, as you can see, it really nothing to compare to a gas-powered one, but I mean, for the price, I think it was like 50 bucks or something like that. Very worth it. Okay, now we're moving to step 2, the metal prep. So this is the actual POR brand metal prep I'm using. It's purple, and I'm just soaking all of this metal in it. You just want to get a real nice, I don't think it matters. You want it just to be wet, complete coverage. You don't want to miss any spots. Very easy to miss some of the cracks, but the spray bottle helps mitigate that. Okay, so we let the metal sit for 30 minutes, and now we're going to go ahead and power wash it all off. You don't want to leave any of the metal prep on there because it's going to continue to eat away at the metal. Alright, after we're done cleaning off all the metal prep, we're going to lay them out to dry overnight. We don't want any moisture on there for the next step. Step 3, time to paint. This is the exciting part. Also, pretty simple. Don't be intimidated by it. It's just a paintbrush. Nothing to worry about. I am using paint brushes and not the foam sponges. I prefer those. I think I said in my last video, the foam brushes are not very efficient at saving you paint because they come apart and then you leave a lot of paint in the sponge. So I definitely prefer using a normal paintbrush. Works fine. So here's a handy little trick that I learned a while ago. I do this on all of my paint cans. What I'm doing here is I'm just punching little holes all around the inner lip there so that when I get done pouring it or whatever I'm doing with it, and if there's any paint around the lid, all of it will drain back into the container. So it helps get rid of some of that mess, helps you save paint, and it works really well. Alright, so time to start painting. No mixing required. This doesn't have any type of reducer or activator involved in it. It's just straight out of the can. I'm using it straight out of the can, and you apply it. Brush on, spray on. I wouldn't really recommend spraying it on. I haven't tried it, but I could imagine it would get very messy. I've gotten this stuff on my skin before, and it takes a couple weeks to come out. It's not thinnable. You can't use acetone or paint thinner to get it off your skin. So you just gotta let it come off. Get nice full coverage here, and in a second here I'm just gonna speed it up because we all know how to use a paintbrush. At least I hope we do. The key here is just to get full coverage of everything. I'm gonna shut up now and you can watch me work. Okay, so it is a couple hours later. I waited a couple hours before I flipped them because I don't want the paint to bond to my sawhorses. So I'm just giving you a little bit of different perspective. Maybe someone likes it more this way, maybe someone likes it more on my head. I can't imagine you like it more on my head. I did realize afterwards that it gets a little shaky, especially when I speed it up, so I apologize for any dizziness. This does take, I think, a couple 2 to 3 hours. I can't remember the exact time for it to kind of harden enough to handle, so that's not super tacky. It does dry a lot quicker than some other paints. Okay, so here I am using a spray paint to try and get into some of those smaller crevices and spots that I couldn't normally reach with a paintbrush. Now, I feel that this is okay in this certain situation because I don't need that hard POR in some of those smaller cracks. Yes, I would love it there, but realistically, I'm going to spend a lot of extra time trying to get it up into some of those smaller areas, and where really I can reach it with a paint gun, and they're really not going to get affected by elements or by weather or scratching or anything that would cause me concern. So I'm going to go ahead and spot some of the frame parts that I had missed before, also with the spray paint, spots that I couldn't get to with the paintbrush. And this is not perfect, but it's going to do the job. It's going to protect the metal, and that's what we do. Alright, well, that's it for this episode of Broken. Hope you guys learned a lot. Comment if you got any questions. Like if you obviously liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more.